Welcome everyone to another exciting journey into the fascinating world of rare coins where history, mystery, and incredible fortune meet. Today we are diving deep into the story of the 1978 1-cent coin that has become the talk of collectors and treasure hunters around the world, a coin that on the surface seems like just an ordinary penny minted in a year when millions of these coins rolled off the presses. Yet this particular 1978 1-cent carries with it errors, mistakes, and striking anomalies that transformed it from a simple piece of copper-plated zinc into a jaw-dropping treasure worth an astonishing $7 million. Yes, you've heard that right, $7 million for a single 1-cent coin. And in today's video we are going to explore why this tiny piece of metal holds such immense value, what errors and mistakes it carries, and why collectors are willing to pay such unbelievable amounts for it. So sit back and enjoy as we unfold the hidden secrets of the 1978 penny. Because what may look like a regular coin to the untrained eye is actually a gateway to big money, rare history, and the amazing possibilities of numismatics. Now, when we look at the 1978 penny, we first need to understand the context of its creation. By this year, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents. The design had been in circulation since 1909 when Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln was introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Throughout the years the coin had undergone small modifications, but by the late 1970s it was firmly embedded into American pockets and wallets. Millions of these pennies were used every day, so at first glance a 1978 penny does not sound special at all. Yet within this vast ocean of mass-produced coins, rare mistakes can slip through. And it is precisely these mistakes that make the 1978 penny we are discussing today so extraordinary. One of the major factors that make any coin valuable is minting errors, and the 1978 penny is no exception. Errors can happen for many reasons, sometimes due to overused dies, sometimes because of improper striking, and sometimes because of planchet issues. The planchet is the blank piece of metal that gets struck into a coin. If the metal is not prepared properly or is of the wrong composition, incredible anomalies can occur. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet, or even struck twice by accident. These errors create unique coins that are unlike any other, and for collectors, rarity combined with uniqueness translates directly into value. The 1978 penny that achieved $7 million is believed to contain multiple layered errors, which means it is not just one mistake, but several stacked together in one coin. First and foremost, this coin is believed to have been struck with a double die error on the obverse. The obverse is the front side featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait. In this case, the doubling can be seen on Lincoln's profile, his eye, his mouth, and most noticeably on the date 1978 itself. Collectors value double die coins immensely. Just look at the famous 1955 double-die penny, which is now worth thousands of dollars. The 1978 double die is even rarer because fewer examples are known to exist. But that's not all. This legendary $7 million penny also carries a misaligned die strike, which means that when the coin was pressed, the dies were slightly off-center, creating an image that is shifted in relation to the rim. This misalignment makes the coin instantly recognizable to experts and adds yet another layer of rarity. Then we have the potential wrong planchet error. It is said that this coin was not struck on the usual copper alloy planchet that was standard in 1978. Instead, it was accidentally struck on a transitional planchet meant for a different denomination or a leftover from previous years. Some reports suggest it may have even been struck on an experimental planchet as the U.S. Mint prepared for the big composition change of 1982 when pennies switched from being mostly copper to copper-plated zinc. Such anomalies create a fascinating backstory for this coin, because it's not just about the visual error, but also about the history of minting technology and transitions within the U.S. Mint. Now let's think about the human factor. Mint workers at the time were under pressure to produce massive quantities of coins, millions every day, and under such pressure, mistakes were inevitable. Some errors were caught and melted down, but others escaped into circulation unnoticed. Perhaps a worker grabbed the wrong stack of planchets, perhaps the die was not inspected properly, perhaps the press was not aligned, and just like that, a $7 million coin was born, unnoticed by anyone at the time. It went out into circulation, used to buy candy or a newspaper, passed through countless hands, until eventually sharp-eyed collectors discovered its anomalies and began to understand its significance. This is what makes the story so exciting, because it proves that extraordinary treasures can be hiding in plain sight, in your pocket change, in old jars of coins in your attic, or even in the change given to you at a store. The possibility that you could stumble upon a fortune is what drives collectors to examine every penny closely. And the 1978 1 cent worth $7 million is the perfect example of why. Now let's take a closer look at how the value skyrocketed to such an unbelievable level. Coin value is determined by rarity, demand, condition, and historical significance. In the case of this penny, rarity is unquestionable. Only a handful of examples with such a combination of errors are known. Demand is extremely high because collectors around the world compete to own the most unique coins. Condition plays a role too. If the coin is well preserved in uncirculated or mint state condition, the value multiplies. And then comes the historical context. This penny represents not only a minting anomaly but also an era in U.S. history when coin production was undergoing changes. So when you combine rarity, demand, condition, and history, the price can reach astronomical levels. At auction, collectors bid fiercely, driving the value higher and higher, and for the lucky owner, this tiny coin became worth $7 million. Imagine holding something so small, yet so valuable, that it rivals the cost of luxury mansions, sports cars, and rare works of art. It is not just a coin anymore, it is a symbol of history, luck, and immense wealth. But the story does not end there, because the presence of such a valuable penny in circulation inspires collectors everywhere to search harder, check every penny, and never underestimate even the smallest denomination. It fuels the hobby of numismatics and keeps the thrill of discovery alive. Now let's discuss the possibilities. Could there be more of these 1978-era pennies out there, undiscovered, sitting quietly in someone's drawer? The answer is yes, it's possible, because while we know of a few examples, the true number is uncertain, and with millions of coins produced that year, it is very likely that more slipped through the cracks, which means that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon one, perhaps even you, and that possibility is what keeps the excitement alive. Collectors know that lightning can strike again, and so the search continues. Examining each penny carefully for doubling, misalignments, or strange metal composition. Now, one of the fascinating aspects about era coins is that no two are exactly alike, each mistake is unique, so even if more 1978-era pennies exist, each one will have slight differences, making every coin a one-of-a-kind piece. That uniqueness adds further to the value, because when something cannot be replicated, its worth increases dramatically. The 1978 penny is a testament to that principle. A tiny mistake that turned into a monumental fortune, and it teaches us that value is not always about size or weight, but about rarity and story. Collectors love coins with stories, and the story of a 1978 penny struck in error, escaping into circulation, being rediscovered decades later, and selling for millions is one of the greatest stories in modern numismatics. It captures the imagination and proves that treasures still exist, waiting to be found, and so, as we reflect on this coin, we realize that it is not just about the money. Although $7 million is life-changing, it is also about the wonder of discovery, the thrill of holding history in your hands, and the joy of sharing these stories with the world. So the next time you come across a penny, especially one from the 1970s, don't dismiss it, examine it carefully, because you never know. You might be looking at the next multimillion-dollar treasure, and that is the magic of coins. They connect us to history, they remind us of the incredible precision and human effort behind minting, and they reward those who pay attention. So keep searching, keep collecting, and keep the dream alive, because the 1978 penny shows us that anything is possible, and your fortune could be just one coin away. And with that, thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the story of the $7 million penny, a tale of errors, mistakes, rarity, and immense value. Stay tuned for more amazing discoveries. Like and subscribe to keep exploring the world of rare coins with us, because the adventure never ends and the treasures are still out there waiting to be found. Next, our journey takes us to the story of the 1968 1 cent coin, a coin that most people would see as just another common penny. something you could find at the bottom of your pocket or lying forgotten in a jar of change. But in the universe of numismatics, this particular year and mint mark hides secrets, errors, and possibilities that elevate its worth to a staggering $9 million. Yes, you've heard that correctly, $9 million for a single penny, a tiny coin that you would normally not even bend down to pick up on the sidewalk. Yet for collectors and experts, this 1-cent piece from the Denver Mint has become one of the holy grails of American coinage, and in today's exploration we will unravel the reasons behind this enormous value, the errors and mistakes that make it unique, the historical background of 1968, and the thrilling possibility that more of these $9 million treasures might still be out there waiting to be discovered. So let us embark on this adventure together, as we unfold the mystery of the 1968 penny, worth more than gold, more than diamonds, and far more than its humble face value of 1 cent. The first thing to understand when we talk about rare pennies like the 1968 is context, because without context we can't appreciate why this coin is so special. In 1968, the United States Mint was operating under immense demand, producing billions of coins to fuel a rapidly growing economy. The Denver Mint, represented by the D Mint mark, was one of the most active facilities, striking hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents in that year alone. The Lincoln cent itself had already become a symbol of American coinage, having been introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real historical person, and it quickly became one of the most beloved coins in circulation. By 1968, the coin had already undergone changes, including the addition of the designer's initials and the placement of mint marks, and in that year mint marks returned to the obverse side below the date after being absent for several years, making 1968 a historically interesting year in the series. Now within this massive production, errors inevitably occurred, and it is those errors, coupled with condition and rarity, that turned some 1968 pennies into multimillion-dollar treasures. Point one of the most significant errors found in certain 1968 pennies is the double die variety. When a coin die is misaligned during the hubbing process, the resulting image on the coin shows doubling. Collectors are especially attracted to these coins because the doubling is visible on important features like Lincoln's profile, his eye, mouth, or most importantly the date, and the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." Doubling on the 1968 penny is so rare that only a handful of specimens have been confirmed, and this scarcity instantly drives the value into astronomical territory. To put it into perspective, the 1955 double-die penny is already famous and worth thousands, yet far more examples exist of the 1955 compared to the 1968 double-die, which is why this latter coin can command millions. When collectors see sharp doubling on the date 1968 and on the mint mark D, they know they are looking at something extraordinary, something that no casual coin owner would notice unless they examine their penny under magnification. And this rarity is what fuels bidding wars at major auctions. Another layer of error that adds to the value of the 1968 penny is off-center strikes. In the minting process, the planchet must be precisely centered between the dies, but sometimes it slips out of alignment, resulting in coins that are struck partially off-center, depending on how extreme the misalignment is. These coins can show blank areas where the design did not strike, and yet still reveal a full readable date. Collectors prize off-center errors with complete dates because they combine rarity with recognizability. In the case of the $9 million 1968 penny, it is believed that the coin carries both a double die and a significant off-center strike, creating a combination error that is virtually unique. The odds of such a coin escaping the mint are infinitesimal, yet here it is. A 1-cent piece carrying mistakes that make it more valuable than almost any other Lincoln cent in existence. But that's not all. Because some 1968 pennies also show transitional planchet errors, meaning they were accidentally struck on the wrong metal blank. Remember that the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different compositions for coins around this time, and while the official Lincoln cent was 95% copper with 5% zinc and tin, it is believed that a few experimental blanks or leftover planchets from other denominations accidentally entered the presses. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet, slightly smaller and made of a different metal, or even on a leftover foreign coin planchet prepared by the US Mint for another country. Such mistakes create coins that are literally one of a kind, no two alike, and when authenticated, they send collectors into a frenzy, paying millions for the privilege of owning such an anomaly. The 1968 D penny valued at $9 million is believed to show evidence of being struck on a misprepared or wrong planchet, adding to its mystique and unparalleled rarity. Now let's consider the human side of this story. Because coins are not created in a vacuum, they are the product of human hands, machines, and the circumstances of history. In 1968, the Denver Mint was staffed by workers handling massive production quotas. Under such conditions, mistakes could happen. A misaligned die might not be immediately caught, a misfed planchet could pass through the press, and a coin with errors could slip unnoticed into circulation. At the time, nobody thought much of it. These coins were just used in everyday transactions. Perhaps the $9 million penny was once used to buy a newspaper, or candy, or even given as change at a gas station. Imagine the incredible irony of someone spending a coin worth millions for something so ordinary. And yet that is often the story of error coins. Their journey from unnoticed mistakes in circulation to prized treasures in the world of collecting is what makes them so fascinating. When it comes to valuation, 4 key factors drive the price of any coin: rarity, demand, condition, and historical significance. In the case of the 1968 D penny, rarity is off the charts because of its unique combination of errors. Demand is global as collectors from every corner of the world compete for ownership of these rare specimens. Condition is critical. If the coin is preserved in uncirculated or mint state condition, the price soars even higher. And finally, the historical significance of 1968, a year when mint marks returned to the obverse, when coin collecting was booming in America, and when errors slipped through that would later become legendary. All of these elements combined to explain why a coin with a face value of 1 cent could sell for $9 million. At major auctions, these coins have set records, with collectors fiercely bidding, each knowing that once such a coin changes hands it may not appear again for decades, if ever. The thrilling part of this story is the possibility that more 1968 D pennies with extraordinary errors are still out there, waiting to be discovered, hidden in jars, piggy banks, or old rolls of coins stashed away in attics and basements. Every collector dreams of being the one to find the next multi-million-dollar penny, and that dream fuels the endless searching, the careful examination of every coin, the use of magnifying glasses and microscopes to look for doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual metal composition. And because these errors were not systematically documented in 1968, we cannot be certain how many exist, meaning that discovery remains possible. Perhaps you, watching this, could be the next person to stumble upon such a treasure, and that thought is enough to keep the excitement alive in the hobby of numismatics. One of the most captivating aspects of coins like the 1968 D penny is the individuality of each error. No two error coins are exactly the same, even if they share similar types of mistakes. The degree of doubling, the angle of the off-center strike, the exact nature of the planchet anomaly, all of these vary from coin to coin, making each one a unique artifact. This uniqueness means that collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying a one-of-a-kind piece of history, something that no one else on earth possesses. And in the case of the $9 million penny, that uniqueness is absolute. It is a coin that cannot be replicated. A mistake frozen in metal, preserved through decades, and transformed into a priceless treasure. As we reflect on the 1968 D penny, it's clear that its story is about much more than money. Although $9 million is a mind-blowing sum, it is also about the magic of discovery, the thrill of turning something ordinary into something extraordinary, the lesson that value is not always obvious. Now we will explore the fascinating story of the 1975 1-cent coin from the United States of America. A coin that on the surface looks like a common penny struck in the mid-70s when millions upon millions of Lincoln cents were churned out of the mint presses. Yet this very coin in its rarest and most extraordinary form has been valued at an incredible $8 million. Yes, you heard that right. $8 million for a single 1-cent coin. And in this deep exploration we will uncover what makes this 1975 penny so incredibly valuable, what errors and mistakes it carries, how its rarity elevates it above other pennies of the era, what historical circumstances surrounded its minting, and why collectors and investors are willing to pay astronomical sums for what most people would overlook as an ordinary piece of change. So let us dive together into this fascinating story and remember, as we go along, that the lessons from coins like this are not just about wealth but also about discovery, history, and the sheer excitement that comes from realizing that fortune can be hiding in plain sight. Now, to understand the 1975 penny, we need to set the stage. In the 1970s, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents every year to keep up with the demand of a busy economy where pennies were still widely used in everyday commerce. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 with the portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, had by 1975 become a permanent fixture in American life. Everyone knew the penny, and nobody gave it much thought. But within this sea of billions of coins, a tiny fraction carried mistakes, minting errors that turned them into unique pieces of art and history. And these are the coins that collectors chase, because while most pennies are worth 1 cent, a rare error penny can be worth millions. And the 1975 penny is one of the greatest examples of this phenomenon, the most important error associated with the 1975 penny is the double die obverse. When the die that imprints the coin receives multiple misaligned impressions from the hub, it creates visible doubling on the design elements. In some cases, you can see clear doubling on the inscriptions such as "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and especially the date 1975, and because the date is one of the most noticeable parts of the coin. Collectors go wild when they see this doubling. The 1955 double die penny is already legendary, but far fewer 1975 double die pennies are known to exist, making them far rarer and therefore far more valuable. Another incredible error tied to 1975 pennies is the off-center strike. If the planchet, which is the blank metal disc used to create the coin, is not properly seated between the dies, the strike can land off-center, creating a coin that shows part of the design missing and part of the blank metal exposed. Depending on how extreme the off-center strike is, collectors may pay thousands or even millions. If the error is dramatic and the date is still visible, and in the case of the $8 million 1975 penny, it is believed that a dramatic off-center strike combined with a double die error created one of the most unique and valuable coins in the entire Lincoln cent series. But we cannot stop there, because another error possibility is wrong planchet strikes. Sometimes pennies were accidentally struck on dime planchets, silver planchets, or even foreign coin planchets that the U.S. Mint was producing for other countries. This creates coins that are not only unusual in appearance but also extremely rare, because very few of these mistakes ever escape the mint, and when authenticated, they can be worth millions. The 1975 penny, valued at $8 million, is believed to be one of those rare transitional or off-metal errors, a coin struck on a planchet not intended for a penny, giving it unique weight, thickness, or color characteristics that set it apart. Now let us think about how such errors could have occurred in 1975. The mint was under enormous pressure, billions of coins were being struck, machines were running around the clock, and human oversight was stretched thin. Mistakes like misaligned dies, wrong planchets, or multiple hub impressions could slip through unnoticed, and once a coin left the mint, it entered circulation just like any other penny. Nobody in 1975 would have thought twice about a slightly odd-looking penny. They would have spent it without hesitation, and so a coin worth $8 million today may have once been used to buy a newspaper, a piece of candy, or a phone call. This journey from everyday use to legendary rarity is what makes numismatics so magical. It shows us that treasures can hide in plain sight and that sometimes the smallest objects carry the biggest stories. When it comes to valuation, collectors and experts look at 4 key factors: rarity, demand, condition, and story. In the case of the 1975 penny, rarity is undeniable because very few exist with these extraordinary errors. Demand is immense because collectors and investors worldwide want to own a piece of this history. Condition is also vital. If the coin has been preserved in uncirculated condition or graded at a high level by professional services like PCGS or NGC, its value skyrockets. And finally, the story matters. The narrative of a common penny transformed into an $8 million treasure because of human error and historical context captures the imagination. And it is this story that pushes the value to heights beyond ordinary logic. Imagine holding a penny that could buy a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, or even change your life forever. That is what the owner of the $8 million 1975 penny experiences, and it is why auctions see fierce bidding whenever one of these rare specimens appears. But perhaps the most exciting part of this story is that there could still be more out there, undiscovered, sitting quietly. In a jar of coins, an old piggy bank, or a forgotten roll of pennies in someone's attic or basement, every collector dreams of being the one to discover such a treasure, and it is not impossible. After all, these coins entered circulation just like any other penny, which means that ordinary people could stumble upon them without realizing it. This is why so many hobbyists search through pennies carefully, using magnifying glasses and microscopes to check for doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual weight and color, because the next $8 million penny might be waiting to be found, and who knows, maybe you will be the one to find it. One of the most remarkable things about era coins like the 1975 penny is their individuality. No two era coins are exactly the same. The doubling will look different from coin to coin, the off-center strike will vary in angle and severity, and the planchet anomalies may create differences in weight or appearance. This means that each era coin is a one-of-a-kind piece of history, a unique artifact that cannot be replicated. And in the case of the $8 million penny, this uniqueness is absolute. It is a coin unlike any other, a mistake frozen in metal, preserved through decades, and elevated to legendary status. Reflecting on this, we realize that coins like the 1975 penny are not just about wealth. They are about the thrill of discovery, the excitement of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, the reminder that history lives in the smallest of details, and the inspiration to look closely at the world around us. They show us that value is not always obvious, and that sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight, waiting for those with curiosity and patience to find them. So the next time you see a penny from 1975, do not ignore it. Take a closer look, examine it carefully, because you never know. You might be holding a coin worth millions. And with that, thank you for joining us on this journey into the story of the $8 million 1975 penny, a tale of errors, rarity, and unimaginable value. Stay tuned for more incredible discoveries. And remember to like and subscribe so you never miss another adventure into the amazing world of rare coins where the next life-changing treasure could be hiding in your pocket right now. And we are diving deep into the mysterious and highly valuable 1976 1-cent coin from the United States of America, a penny that most people would dismiss as just another copper Lincoln cent struck during the nation's bicentennial year. But in reality, in its rarest and most unique form, this coin has been valued at an unbelievable $7 million. And in this long exploration, we will peel back every layer of history, error, rarity, condition, and possibility that makes this humble penny one of the most sought-after and expensive small-denomination coins in the world. So let's embark together on this detailed journey of discovery and remember that the beauty of numismatics is not just about the incredible amounts of money these coins command but also about the wonder of history, the thrill of finding treasure where no one expects it, and the realization that value can hide in the tiniest details of something as ordinary as a cent. Now let us start with the historical context. The year 1976 was a monumental time in American history because it marked the bicentennial celebration of the United States. 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Mint was deeply involved in creating special commemorative designs for quarters, half dollars, and silver dollars to honor the bicentennial. However, the penny retained its traditional Lincoln design with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This meant that billions of 1976 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and with so many coins being produced, the chances for errors and mistakes increased. Collectors have since discovered that among these billions, a few extraordinary 1976 pennies exist that are worth millions because of the rare errors that occurred in their minting. And the most famous of these rare specimens is the one valued at $7 million. To understand what makes the 1976 penny so valuable, we must look closely at the types of errors it can exhibit. One of the most important is the double die error. When the coin die is imprinted twice at slightly different angles during production, The resulting coin will show doubling on the inscriptions and design elements. In the case of the 1976 penny, the doubling is often most visible on "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date itself, doubling on the digits. 1976 is especially dramatic and instantly attracts collectors' attention. Such coins are extremely scarce, and when authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC, they command astonishing prices at auction. But in the case of the legendary $7 million penny, the coin is believed to exhibit more than one error, combining a double die with other anomalies that make it one of a kind. Another fascinating error that occurred in some 1976 pennies is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is not seated properly in the coin press and the strike lands off target, producing a coin where part of the design is missing and part of the blank metal is visible. The value of an off-center penny increases if the date remains fully visible, because it allows collectors to authenticate the year of the strike. Some off-center strikes are only slightly shifted and not especially valuable, but the rare extreme off-center 1976 pennies with the date intact are highly prized. Now imagine a coin that combines both a strong double die and a dramatic off-center strike. Such a coin would be almost unique, and it is exactly this kind of combination error that elevates the $7 million penny above all others. We also must discuss the possibility of wrong planchet errors, because these are among the most exciting and valuable mistakes in coin collecting. In 1976, the U.S. Mint was striking not just pennies but also other denominations and even coins for foreign countries. On rare occasions, a penny was struck on the wrong planchet, such as a dime or nickel blank. These coins come out with the design compressed or cut off because the blank was either too small or too large, making them instantly recognizable. They also have unusual weights and appearances, and once discovered they become some of the most desirable coins in existence. The $7 million penny is believed to be an example of such an off-metal error, possibly struck on a transitional or foreign planchet that was never meant to be used for U.S. cents, giving it characteristics that make it unlike any ordinary penny. When collectors find a coin like this, they know they are looking at something that cannot be replicated and which therefore commands enormous value. Beyond the technical aspects of errors, the story of the 1976 penny also lies in the human side of minting. In that year, the mints were under incredible pressure to meet production demands for bicentennial coinage. Machines were working non-stop, and human inspectors could not possibly catch every anomaly, so mistakes slipped through, and one of those mistakes turned into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Just imagine a coin that a mint worker never noticed, a coin that was placed into bags, sent to banks, and handed out to the public, maybe used for a soda, gum, or candy, nobody realizing that it was worth millions. This is the magic of numismatics, the transformation of the ordinary into the extraordinary, and the fact that treasures can pass through countless hands unnoticed until an observant collector finally spots them. Now let us talk about the factors that drive the value to 7 million. Rarity is obvious. Coins with such unique and dramatic errors are virtually one of a kind. Demand is equally intense. Collectors around the world compete for the rarest error coins, and when something as legendary as the 1976 error penny appears at auction, the competition drives the price higher and higher. Condition also matters, because if a coin has been preserved in uncirculated or near-mint state with sharp details and no wear, its value multiplies. Finally, historical significance plays a role, because 1976 was not just any year but the bicentennial of the nation, a year forever etched in U.S. history, so a penny from that year that also happens to be a unique error specimen becomes doubly significant. When you combine rarity, demand, condition, and history, you get a perfect storm that explains why collectors are willing to pay $7 million for a coin most people would overlook. The most thrilling part of this story is the possibility that more 1976 pennies with dramatic errors are still out there, waiting to be discovered, hidden in old jars, coin rolls, piggy banks, or forgotten collections. Every collector dreams of being the one to stumble upon such a treasure, and it is not impossible, because billions of pennies were made in 1976. And even if only a few errors escaped the mint, that still means they could be hiding anywhere, perhaps in your pocket change. Right now, This possibility is what drives hobbyists to search through thousands of coins with magnifying glasses and microscopes, hoping to spot the telltale signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual weights that could reveal a fortune in disguise. It is this dream of discovery that fuels the excitement of coin collecting and ensures that the hunt for rare coins never ends. Error coins like the 1976 penny also remind us that each piece is unique. No two errors are exactly alike. The doubling will vary, the off-center strike will be at a different angle, the wrong planchet will give a different weight or color. This individuality makes each coin a one-of-a-kind artifact, a piece of history frozen in metal, and for collectors, that uniqueness is irresistible, because owning such a coin means possessing something no one else on Earth has. And that feeling of exclusivity is part of what drives the astronomical prices. The $7 million penny is not just a piece of copper, it is a unique story, a rare mistake, and a legendary treasure. As we reflect on the 1976 penny, we see that its story is about far more than money. Although $7 million is a staggering figure, it is also about the wonder of history, the thrill of holding a rare artifact, the lesson that great value can be hidden in the most ordinary things, and the excitement of discovery that inspires collectors to keep searching. It shows us that history is not just found in museums, but also in our pockets, and that even the smallest coin can connect us to a larger story of human error, chance, and fortune. So the next time you come across a penny from 1976, don't dismiss it, take a close look, because you never know, you might be holding the next multi-million-dollar treasure, and that is the magic of numismatics, turning the everyday into the extraordinary. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the story of the 1976 1-cent coin worth $7 million, a tale of mistakes, rarity, and unimaginable value. And remember to like and subscribe so you never miss another adventure into the world of rare coins where the next treasure might be waiting in your pocket right now. And today our journey takes us into the story of the 1979 1-cent coin of the United States of America, a coin that to most people seems like just another common Lincoln cent struck during a decade when billions were produced. Yet for collectors and numismatic experts there exists a rare version of the 1979 penny that has been valued at a jaw-dropping $5 million. And in this long single continuous narrative we will dive into the reasons behind this astronomical value, the errors and minting mistakes that transformed an ordinary copper cent into one of the most desirable coins in the world, the historical circumstances of 1979, the rarity and condition factors that make it so unique, and the possibility that more of these treasures may still be hiding in circulation or tucked away in forgotten collections. And as we journey through these details, remember that the beauty of coins like the 1979 penny is not only in their monetary value but also in the stories they carry, the lessons they teach us about history, and the thrill they bring to collectors who dream of discovering fortune in the most unexpected of places. So let us begin by setting the stage. In 1979, the United States Mint was in the middle of a very busy period, producing billions of Lincoln cents at multiple mint facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Pennies were still heavily used in commerce during this time, filling jars, registers, and pockets everywhere. The design of the Lincoln cent had by now become deeply familiar to Americans, featuring Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which had been in use since 1959. In other words, nothing about the 1979 penny seemed unusual at first glance, yet within this sea of billions of coins a few mistakes slipped through the cracks. Mistakes so rare and extraordinary that today they are valued at millions of dollars, and the most famous of these is the 1979 penny worth $5 million. When it comes to what makes a coin like this so valuable, the first factor is minting errors, and for the 1979 penny one of the most significant error types is the double die obverse. This error occurs when the coin die receives two or more misaligned impressions during its creation, resulting in visible doubling on the design elements. In the case of the 1979 penny, the doubling is most often seen on Lincoln's profile, his eye, lips, and beard, as well as the inscriptions "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1979 itself. Collectors go wild for double die coins because the doubling is dramatic and visible to the naked eye, giving the coin a striking and unusual appearance. Such coins are extremely rare, and history has proven that they can fetch astronomical sums. Just consider the famous 1955 double-die penny, which is worth thousands in lower grades and tens of thousands in higher grades, yet the 1979 double-die is believed to be even rarer, with fewer examples confirmed, making it an ultra-scarce collectible. But this alone would not be enough to reach the 5 million mark. The legendary $5 million penny is believed to combine multiple errors, including doubling, misalignment, and possibly even a wrong planchet strike, making it a truly unique specimen unlike any other. Another error tied to rare 1979 pennies is the off-center strike. If the blank planchet is not properly centered in the coin press, the strike lands off balance, leaving part of the design cut off and part of the blank planchet exposed. Collectors especially value off-center errors where the date remains intact, because the year of the strike confirms authenticity and rarity. In the case of the $5 million penny, the off-center strike is said to be extreme enough to create a dramatic appearance while still leaving the 1979 date clearly visible. A perfect storm of error characteristics that elevate the coin's desirability and value. When you combine this with doubling, the result is a coin so rare and spectacular that it is virtually one of a kind, and collectors will pay whatever it takes to own such a piece. We must also consider wrong planchet or transitional planchet errors. During the late 1970s, the mint was striking coins for other denominations as well as foreign contracts. Mistakes happened when a penny design was accidentally struck on a blank meant for another coin, such as a dime or nickel. These coins appear with unusual size, thickness, or weight, and once identified, they become some of the most valuable coins ever struck. In fact, some of the rarest and most expensive Lincoln cents known are off-metal strikes where the coin was struck on silver or even foreign planchets. The $5 million 1979 penny is believed to show this type of anomaly as well, giving it unusual characteristics that set it apart from normal pennies. This uniqueness is key because no two error coins are exactly the same, and that individuality makes them priceless in the eyes of collectors. Now let us step into the human side of this story. In 1979, mint workers were producing billions of coins under heavy deadlines, machinery was running constantly, and quality control could not possibly catch every mistake. In such an environment, errors slipped through, some subtle and some dramatic. And once they escaped into circulation, they were indistinguishable from regular pennies to the average person. Just imagine the irony that a coin worth $5 million today may have once been used to buy gum, candy, or pay for parking, passed through countless hands without anyone realizing its incredible value. This is what makes error coins so fascinating. They live secret lives, hidden in plain sight, until one day an observant collector spots something unusual, has it authenticated, and discovers they are holding a treasure beyond imagination. The value of the 1979 penny, like all rare coins, is driven by four essential factors: rarity, demand, condition, and story. Rarity is obvious in this case because the specific error combination is virtually unique. Demand is global as collectors from every corner of the world dream of owning such an extraordinary piece. Condition plays an enormous role because if the coin has survived in uncirculated or mint state condition with minimal wear, its value multiplies several times. And finally, story matters. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying the tale of a mistake that escaped the mint, lived an ordinary life, and then transformed into one of the most valuable pennies in history. It is this story that captures the imagination and drives auction prices to astronomical levels. In fact, auctions featuring rare Lincoln cents have seen fierce bidding wars where collectors and investors alike push the price higher and higher because they know that once such a coin disappears into a private collection, it may not surface again for decades, if ever. The most thrilling part of the 1979 penny story is the possibility that more of these error coins exist but remain undiscovered. With billions of pennies minted that year, it is possible that a few other error specimens escaped into circulation and are still out there, hiding in old jars of change, piggy banks, or forgotten rolls of pennies stored away in drawers, attics, and basements. Every collector dreams of finding one, and it is this possibility that fuels the excitement of coin collecting. The idea that a fortune could be discovered in the most ordinary place, perhaps even in your pocket change, This is why hobbyists meticulously examine thousands of coins under magnification, looking for signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual weight and appearance, because the next $5 million penny might still be waiting to be discovered. Error coins like the 1979 penny also remind us that each one is unique. No two coins will ever show the exact same doubling, the same degree of off-center strike, or the same wrong planchet characteristics. This individuality makes each one a one-of-a-kind piece of art and history, and for collectors, that uniqueness is what makes ownership so desirable. To hold a coin that no one else in the world possesses is the ultimate achievement in numismatics, and in the case of the $5 million penny, this uniqueness has made it legendary. It is not just a piece of copper, it is a story, a mistake, a treasure, and a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. As we reflect on the story of the 1979 penny, we realize that it is about more than money. Although $5 million is an astonishing amount, it is also about the thrill of discovery, the reminder that treasures can be hidden in the most ordinary places, and the inspiration to keep looking. Coins like this teach us that history is alive in the smallest of objects, stamped in metal, carried through decades, and waiting for the curious to uncover their secrets. So the next time you see a penny from 1979, don't ignore it. Take a closer look, because you never know, you might be holding the next legendary coin worth millions. And that is the magic of numismatics, turning the everyday into the extraordinary. Thank you for joining us in exploring the story of the $5 million 1979 penny, a tale of errors, rarity, and unimaginable value. And remember to like and subscribe so you never miss another journey into the amazing world of rare coins where the next treasure could be waiting for you in your pocket right now. Welcome once again to another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare coins where small details, unnoticed mistakes, and minting quirks transform an ordinary copper penny into a multimillion-dollar treasure. And today our spotlight shifts to the 1981 1-cent coin of the United States of America, a coin that most people glance at and dismiss as just another common Lincoln penny. One that has been produced in the billions, circulated through millions of hands, and stuffed into countless piggy banks, coin jars, and parking meters. Yet hidden within this ocean of ordinary copper-plated pieces lies a rare and extraordinary version of the 1981 1-cent that has shocked collectors and auction houses alike by being valued at an incredible $4 million. And in this continuous and uninterrupted journey we will explore in great depth how such a coin could reach this legendary valuation. The precise minting errors and mistakes that make it unique, the historical backdrop of 1981 that shaped its existence, the various error types associated with this year, the possibilities of undiscovered specimens, and why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical sums for something that the average person might overlook in their spare change. And as always, our story is not just about the money but about the adventure, the thrill of discovery, and the reminder that treasures can hide in plain sight, waiting for the observant and the curious to reveal them. To understand why the 1981 penny is so important, we need to remember where the Lincoln cent was at this point in history. By 1981, the Lincoln cent had been in production for more than 70 years, bearing Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse, which had been in use since 1959. Pennies were struck at multiple mints including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and the total mintage for 1981 across all locations exceeded billions, making it one of the most common coins of its time. Yet buried in this massive production run were a few coins that slipped through quality control with dramatic and highly valuable errors, and it is one of these that has been identified as the famous $4 million specimen. Now celebrated as one of the most legendary pennies of modern American coinage. One of the most significant error categories for 1981 pennies is the double die error, and like other famous double die coins such as the 1955 and 1969 S pennies, a double die occurs when the coin die itself receives multiple misaligned impressions during its preparation, causing design elements on every coin struck with that die to appear doubled. For 1981 pennies, this doubling can be dramatic on Lincoln's profile, especially his lips, eyes, and beard, as well as the inscriptions "I in God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1981 itself. This doubling is visible even to the naked eye, which makes it very appealing to collectors. But what makes the $4 million version so special is that the doubling is both bold and accompanied by other rare anomalies, making it a once-in-a-lifetime find. Another error type that adds tremendous value is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is improperly fed into the coin press, resulting in part of the design being struck off-center and part of the blank surface left visible. Collectors especially prize off-center errors where the date remains visible because it confirms the year of issue. In the case of the 1981 penny valued at $4 million, the coin is said to exhibit an extraordinary off-center strike while still clearly showing the 1981 date, making it not only visually dramatic but also historically undeniable. And when such an error is combined with other mistakes such as doubling, the rarity multiplies exponentially. We must also consider transitional and wrong planchet errors, because the 1980s were a turning point for the penny, as the United States Mint was preparing to shift from the traditional copper-based composition to a cheaper copper-plated zinc composition which would officially begin in 1982. It is entirely possible that during this transition a few experimental or misplaced planchets were used in 1981, resulting in pennies struck on planchets of unusual weight or metal. These transitional errors are among the rarest in numismatics, with some examples fetching millions at auction, and many experts believe that the $4 million 1981 penny may involve this type of anomaly, perhaps being struck on a foreign or transitional planchet by mistake, which would explain both its uniqueness and its immense value. The historical context of 1981 is also important because the mint was under heavy pressure, producing billions of coins under tight deadlines. With new coinage laws looming and material costs rising, this environment made it easy for rare mistakes to slip through unnoticed, and once these era coins entered circulation, they blended in with the billions of other pennies, used in everyday purchases, passed from hand to hand, and perhaps forgotten in jars and drawers for decades. Imagine the possibility that the $4 million penny might have once been used to buy a candy bar or dropped into a vending machine, living an ordinary life before being recognized for the extraordinary rarity that it truly was. This is the magic of era coins. They carry both the mundane and the miraculous in their histories. Collectors and experts evaluate coins like the 1981 penny based on four major factors: rarity, demand, condition, and story. Rarity in this case is undeniable because only a handful of these dramatic errors exist, perhaps even just one specimen of the $4 million type. Demand is enormous because Lincoln cent collectors form one of the largest communities in numismatics worldwide. Condition matters because a coin preserved in mint state with little or no wear can multiply its value several times over. And the story is everything. A coin that tells the tale of a rare mistake, hidden for decades and rediscovered to reveal its true value, is irresistible to collectors and investors alike. And when all four factors converge, the result is a coin worth millions. Auction history has shown us that collectors will stop at nothing to obtain such rarities. Fierce bidding wars erupt when a unique era penny surfaces, with prices climbing higher and higher as buyers recognize the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And this is exactly how the 1981 penny achieved its legendary $4 million valuation. It was not just the metal or the mistake, but the perfect combination of rarity, condition, demand, and story, making it a priceless treasure in the world of numismatics. What makes this even more exciting is the possibility that more 1981 era pennies could still be out there, hidden in old change collections, coin rolls, or forgotten coffee cans of spare coins. Every collector dreams of being the one to find such a treasure, and this dream fuels the passion of numismatics, inspiring people to examine their coins carefully, study minting details, and never dismiss even the most common-looking penny without a closer look, because history has proven again and again that life-changing treasures can hide in the smallest of places, waiting for an observant eye. The individuality of era coins cannot be overstated. No two are ever exactly the same. Each doubling, misalignment, or planchet mistake creates a unique fingerprint that makes the coin one of a kind, and in the case of the $4 million 1981 penny, this uniqueness is precisely what makes it legendary. To hold a coin that no one else in the world possesses is the ultimate dream of any collector. And this is why ownership of such a piece is considered not just an investment but an achievement, a milestone in the pursuit of numismatic greatness. So when we reflect on the story of the 1981 penny worth $4 million, we see that it is about more than just money. It is about the thrill of discovery, the blending of history and chance, and the lesson that treasures can hide in plain sight, teaching us to appreciate the details, the imperfections, and the stories behind everyday objects, and perhaps most importantly, it inspires us to look closely at the coins we handle daily, because the next multimillion-dollar discovery might just be waiting in your pocket right now. So always check your change, always study your pennies, because history has a way of surprising those who pay attention, and the 1981 penny is proof of that truth, an ordinary coin turned into an extraordinary treasure by the smallest of mistakes, forever immortalized as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in history. And with that, thank you for joining us in uncovering this incredible story, and remember to like and subscribe so you never miss another journey into the amazing world of rare coins where the next fortune may be hiding in plain sight. Last, we are going to explore in depth the amazing case of the 1994 1-cent coin of the United States of America, a coin that in ordinary circulation is considered one of the most common modern pennies ever made since billions were struck by the Denver Mint that year, but in the extraordinary case of a specific and rare mint error. A single 1994 penny has been valued at an astonishing $2 million, a number so high that it shocks both casual observers and serious numismatists alike. And in this continuous narrative we will examine every aspect of why this coin is worth such a fortune, the minting mistakes and errors that set it apart, the historical context of 1994 and the Denver Mint's operations, the types of errors associated with that year, the market demand and collector frenzy that fuels its high value, the possibility that other examples may still be hiding in circulation, and why coins like this one remind us to pay close attention to even the smallest details in everyday change, because what appears to be a simple penny could in fact be a ticket to unimaginable wealth. So let us begin by recalling that the Lincoln cent had by 1994 already undergone significant changes since its introduction in 1909 with Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and since 1959 featuring Frank Gasparo's reverse design of the Lincoln Memorial, and since 1982 the mint had transitioned away from 95% copper to a primarily zinc composition with a thin copper plating, a change that dramatically altered the metal characteristics of the penny, and by 1994 billions of these zinc-based pennies were being produced each year at the Philadelphia and Denver facilities to keep up with circulation needs. So common were these coins that many people never even glance at them twice, tossing them into jars or losing them without care. Yet amidst this sea of billions there exists a handful of error coins that escape detection, and one of these is the legendary 1994 penny worth $2 million, now celebrated as one of the most valuable modern small cents in American history. The first and most important factor to consider is the error that makes this coin so rare, and one of the primary suspects is the double die error, a mistake that has elevated coins like the 1955 Lincoln cent, the 1969 cent, and the 1972 double die to legendary status among collectors. A double die occurs when the die used to strike coins is itself improperly prepared, receiving two misaligned impressions during hubbing, which means that every coin struck with that die will show doubling on its design. In the case of the 1994 penny, dramatic doubling is believed to exist on the obverse inscriptions "I in God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1994, as well as possibly on Lincoln's profile features such as the lips, eye, and beard. This doubling is visible to the naked eye, which increases desirability because collectors prize errors that are obvious, rather than requiring microscopes to see, and because so few examples of this double die error for 1994 have ever surfaced, the rarity drives the price to astronomical levels, and in mint state condition the value becomes nearly incalculable, leading to the multimillion-dollar valuation at auction. But doubling is not the only error that could push this coin to $2 million. Because another factor associated with 1994 pennies is the wrong planchet or transitional error, since the Denver Mint in the 1990s was producing coinage not only for U.S. circulation but also occasionally for foreign countries under contract. mistakes could occur where a penny was struck on a blank meant for another denomination or even another country's coinage. When such errors occur, the resulting coin may have unusual weight, thickness, or composition. And collectors go absolutely wild for these because they are unique and virtually impossible to replicate. A 1994 penny struck on a dime planchet, for example, would appear smaller and thinner with parts of the design cut off, while one struck on a foreign planchet might weigh differently or ring differently when tapped, and such off-metal errors have in the past fetched sums in the millions. So it is entirely possible that the famous $2 million 1994 penny is in fact a wrong planchet strike that combined with other dramatic features like doubling to create a one-of-a-kind specimen. Off-center strikes are another type of error that can transform an ordinary penny into a priceless treasure, and in 1994 there are documented examples of pennies struck 10%, 20%, or even more off-center, with portions of the coin blank visible alongside partial designs. Collectors especially value off-center strikes where the date and mint mark remain fully visible, because this authenticates the year and mint location. And if the $2 million penny exhibits an extreme but still identifiable off-center strike, this could explain its massive premium, since dramatic visual errors combined with rarity always capture the attention of high-end collectors. Historical context adds another layer to the story, because in 1994 the Denver Mint was producing coins on a massive scale, striking billions of pennies under tight deadlines, and quality control teams, while effective, could not possibly inspect every coin. Errors inevitably slip through the cracks, and most of the time these errors are minor and go unnoticed, but occasionally a dramatic mistake makes it out into circulation, traveling through the economy unnoticed for years before a collector or sharp-eyed individual realizes what they have. Just imagine the irony that a coin now worth $2 million may have once been used to pay for a soda, candy, or dropped into a parking meter, its immense value completely invisible to those who handled it. And this possibility adds to the mystique and fascination of such coins. Now let us consider the four pillars of numismatic value: rarity, demand, condition, and story. Rarity in this case is unquestionable because only a tiny number of 1994 errors of this magnitude exist. Demand is massive because Lincoln cent collectors form one of the largest collector bases in the world and are always eager to own the rarest examples. Condition is critical because if the coin is preserved in mint state with little or no wear, the price can multiply several times over. And finally, the story of the coin is what captures imaginations. A story of a mistake at the mint, a coin lost in circulation for years, and then rediscovered and authenticated as one of the rarest modern pennies ever struck. This story is what drives bidding wars at auction and fuels the headlines that make such coins legendary. When one of these coins appears at auction, the result is always the same: fierce bidding wars between elite collectors and investors who know that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Prices climb higher and higher because they recognize the uniqueness of the specimen. And this is exactly how the 1994 penny achieved its $2 million valuation, because there may never be another exactly like it, and once it disappears into a private collection it may not surface again for decades, if ever, making it even more elusive and desirable. What makes this even more thrilling is the possibility that other 1994 era pennies may still be undiscovered, sitting quietly in jars of change, tucked away in rolls of coins, or hidden in old collections stored in basements and attics. Every collector dreams of being the one to find such a treasure, and this dream fuels the passion of coin collecting, the idea that life-changing wealth could be discovered in the most ordinary of places, perhaps even in pocket change you handle today, which is why collectors carefully inspect every penny, searching for doubling, off-center strikes, unusual weights, or strange colors that hint at wrong planchet errors, because history has proven that treasures like the $2 million penny do exist, and could still be out there waiting. The individuality of each era coin makes them even more desirable. No two are ever identical, and the unique fingerprint of doubling, strike misalignment, or planchet mistake means that each one is a one-of-a-kind artifact. Owning such a coin is like owning a piece of art that exists nowhere else in the world, and for collectors this exclusivity is priceless. The 1994 penny worth $2 million embodies this perfectly, being not just money but history, art, and rarity all combined into a single object small enough to fit in your hand. In conclusion, the story of the 1994 1-cent coin worth $2 million is a powerful reminder that value can hide in plain sight. That even in the most common and ordinary objects there can be hidden treasures waiting to be discovered, and that the world of numismatics is filled with stories of incredible mistakes, human error, and historical quirks that transform pocket change into legendary fortunes. So the next time you come across a penny from 1994, especially one with a D mint mark, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look, because you may just be holding the next legendary coin, and that is the thrill and magic of coin collecting, where the extraordinary can be found in the most ordinary places. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the 1994 penny worth $2 million, and remember to like and subscribe so you never miss another journey into the world of rare coins where history, mistakes, and fortune collide in the most unexpected ways.